like I said, if you build it, they will come, and boy, did they come.
Hey Sun City Grand residents, my name is Adam Nunez, and today we are talking about some exciting things here in Sun City Grand. We are marking history today as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the softball field. We are actually out here on the softball field in Sun City Grand, and I'm here with Bob Zek. Bob, how are you today?
I'm great.
And Bob was here right in the beginning of when the softball field came to be. He was actually a big part of it being here today. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the history, which is gonna be exciting. But before we get into the history, let's talk a little bit about you. Bob, where are you from and what brought you to Sun City Grand?
Well, I was born in Detroit. I lived there till I was 11. Then we moved out to farm country because there were 6 kids and my dad wanted land, or at least room. And I graduated in '63. I started my first year of college in fall of '64. I got drafted, spent 14 months in there, and I came home in November of '65. And well, I got married and I had a son in 1966.
You mentioned you started playing softball when you were 8?
No, Little League. I played Little League, Babe Ruth, Pony League, American Legion. I played 10 years for General Motors team.
Yeah.
10 years for Parks and Recreation in Livonia, Michigan.
Yeah.
And I umpired for 15 years in Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
But that was, that was the young bloods.
Okay.
You couldn't be, I actually went to school for it, like a lot of people do.
Right.
And yeah, I didn't get paid much, but I loved it.
Yeah.
Especially when you got the 30-somethings.
Right.
You know, it's like watching them Major League Baseball. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And do you still play today, or
Yeah.
have you stopped playing?
Yeah.
And
Well, I have a slight injury in my arm.
Yeah.
That held me up, and then I had a little problem with this knee. But I didn't play all summer. Anyway, I met Jim Hansen, who without that meeting,
Right.
none of this would be here. Jim Hansen was the president of the softball board in Sun City West.
Okay.
But his wife wanted to move in. They were there for several years. They wanted to buy a new house.
Yeah.
So just by chance, I was in the sales office with another friend of mine, showing him around, and Jim Hansen was looking at this diorama, which is a layout of all the houses.
Yeah.
And jokingly, I said, "Hey, I can sell you a house." And he says, "Well, I don't know if I want to live here. There's no ball field." Because they played over there for years.
Okay.
So I said, "Well, I don't know if they're going to do it or not."
Yeah.
So basically what happened was we got to talking, and I played ball since I was 8 years old. So
Right.
it was a big deal to me
Yeah.
because we were playing on Bicentennial, bad. We played at Luke Air Force Base, bad.
Yeah.
Pebble Creek, which was bad then.
Yeah.
So we got together and went and had a coffee, and then we started talking about it. So we went to the CAM, who was run by Harold. I can't remember his last name.
Ed Harold.
Ed Harold.
Yep.
And we discussed it with him. And he said, well, they hadn't current plans to do that, but if we could get enough interest, then they would look into it.
Yeah.
So Jim proposed that we put sign-up sheets in the sales office, Sonoran Plaza,
Yeah.
and anywhere that we could.
Yeah.
So after about close to a month, we had 36 names,
Wow.
which is not a lot to get a ball field.
Yeah.
So Jim, having connections to Sun City West, got us in a tournament over there. Now you have to understand, Sun City West won almost every year.
Gotcha.
So they were like, okay, so we formed 2 teams. There was a gentleman named Danny Martinez. He had a team called the Saguaros,
Okay.
and I formed a team called the Roadrunners, which I still have.
Okay.
These are tournament softball teams.
Right.
So anyway, we go over there, and lo and behold, the Saguaros won it.
Wow.
They beat the West 3-1 in the last game.
You must have been so excited.
Oh, I almost, well, anyway, so we took the plaque up to Ed Harold. He put it in the sales office. They had a glass display
Right.
case.
Yep.
He put that in there with Del Webb's original ball glove
Okay.
and a couple other odds and ends. And then after that happened, more and more people signed up.
Right.
So once we got to around enough for like 6 teams, we went back to CAM and we told them. And they said, oh, well, there is some interest. I said, yeah. And the old saying, if you build it, they will come.
Right. The Field of Dreams.
Yeah, yeah. And so anyhow, Jim Hansen recruited me, and I became the treasurer for the first board. And then there's two gentlemen, Ron Williamson and Don Campagna, and a gentleman named Carl Kopp. I think they're supposed to be here today.
Yeah.
So that was the original board, and we started negotiating with them in the spring of '98. And after many, many, many meetings, around late October, Jim got a call from Ed Harold. They wanted to meet again. So we go up to the thing. There was Del Webb's son.
Okay.
There was Ed Harold. There was a lawyer and a guy that designs what do they call those?
Oh yeah, like a interior, like a
designer or some kind.
Yeah.
So anyway, they were there, and then the four of us, because Carl was sick at the time. So it got down to this finally, because Jim did all the talking then.
Right.
I'm only doing it now because he's not here.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so they got to talk, back and forth, and then Ed Harold says, well, we've come to the conclusion there is enough interest to build a field here, so we're setting aside $1 million.
Wow.
Construction is going to start at end of this month.
Yeah.
And by opening day, of course, was the 17th of May in '99, and the rest is history. The original board, and I cannot say it enough, Jim Hansen was the key.
Right.
Had he not persuaded me and some others to follow through over months.
This wouldn't be here.
That's right, and he's passed away now, and I would like to ask people, please do not take this place for granted.
Yeah.
It is really a field of dreams.
Now, I know like 1999, that's when the field finally had its like, hey, this is what the Field of Dreams, and they named it. Can you talk maybe a little bit about, do you remember that opening ceremony?
Oh,
Who
yeah.
was here? Like how many people showed up? Like, can you give a little
Well, I'll tell you, the place was filled. Parking lot was filled.
Yeah.
Cars were parked everywhere. And the mayor, Schaefer, at the time, showed up with her people.
Okay.
And Whitey Ford was here, the great Yankee pitcher. And the pom-poms from Sun City West did a show.
Okay.
And Whitey Ford sat in the stands for almost 3 hours. He signed a ball, a shirt, and a program for me. But he stayed there for 2 or 3 hours. Nicest guy in the world. And he threw out the first pitch.
I'm sure you played on multiple fields. How does this measure? How does the Field of Dreams, Sun City Grand,
well, I'll give you an example.
Measure up?
Del Webb has a field in Roseville, California. Okay. A friend of mine, he's been to several of Del Webb Community Anthem, but we both agree that of all the 6 or 7 fields, this is the best.
That's awesome.
It is. If you look around, you can't deny it.
Yeah.
I wish we had more seating.
Right.
But other than that, it's
good.
Look at it. And this is, like I said, basically the work of all our volunteers. I really appreciate, and I also want to say one thing to all the people that were here that took care of this place, all the years, all the managers, the coaches, the scorekeepers, umpires, anyone that was involved.
Yeah.
And now, as you can see, the result.
Well, I appreciate your time, Bob, and kind of going through a little bit of the history. And I know we've got some of your friends here today that are going to talk a little bit more about
and they can
their experience and
give their input.
The history, I'm here with Bob's ex-friends, and we're here on the softball field in Sun City Grand, and we're going to break down a little bit more of the history of Sun City Grand and these guys and their experience and kind of their takeaways from the softball field and what was happening during that time, all the way back from 1997 to when the softball actually came to be. So, how are you guys today?
We're doing fine.
Good. Why don't we start from down at the very end? Introduce yourself and kind of where you're from and what brought you to Sun City Grand.
All right, Adam. Earl Allsites from Chicago, Illinois. I came here just because of the activities. I seen that there was so much to do rather than, be a couch potato at home.
Yeah.
There was so much to do here, not only softball, but other things. But me, coming from Chicago, I never really, when I was younger, played softball.
Okay.
I came out here, and a lot of these older guys, and they're older than I am. But
Thanks, sir.
but they taught me a little bit I know about the rules and about other things, and I enjoy playing here and enjoy playing with all these guys.
Now, when did you move here? What year was that?
97.
97. So right when kind of the softball.
Yeah, they opened in 96 of October, if I'm not mistaken.
Next.
Bob Lebrecht from Connecticut, and we wanted a better climate to retire in because, as everybody knows, winters are cold in Connecticut like they are in Chicago.
Chicago, ooh, yeah.
And we loved it here. Got here in '98, and I was a high school coach for 35 years.
Okay.
And my wife is a Spanish teacher at the same high school. And she said, why don't you try softball? I said, nah, I don't want to do that. Well, I've played and coached for 18 years. And then I managed for the last couple years.
Yeah.
I managed not only here, but a number of teams all over the Southwest tournaments.
Great.
And we love it here.
Yeah. And when did you move here? What year was that?
98.
My name is Gene Krause, and from upstate New York. And so when you talk about cold, we lived in Connecticut too for a little while. And I grew up playing ball.
Yeah.
I started playing when I was like 3 years old. And
Little League.
played all the way through. I played semi-pro baseball and a couple of tryouts, but didn't quite make it. But then played softball. And so after I retired in '96, you know, I spent the year, but all I was doing was plowing out everybody else's driveway because they were still working. So we got in the car, we came out west here for 6 weeks, and somebody pointed us to Sun City West. And they said, oh, you ought to look at, because upstate New York, we don't have this kind of community.
Right.
So we go through that, and we said, oh yeah, we'll come through. And I come in and come down this road here, and I saw this ball diamond, and I said, I gotta live there.
Yeah.
It was because that's what I had done all my life.
Yeah.
You know, with softball. So that was the big commitment. We've been here 19 years. Came
Wow.
here in 2000.
That's awesome.
And
so you kind of came after the softball field had been put down, all that's been.
yeah, to me, I'm saying, what a great stadium to play.
Right.
I looked at those fences and I'm going, I think they're kind of short. I can get there. You know, so that's why I'm here.
That's awesome.
Art Stackpole, I'm from New York. Was born in Brooklyn,
Okay.
moved to Staten Island, worked on Wall Street.
Wow.
My wife and I both worked on Wall Street. We moved out here because we had gone to Vegas every year for vacation, and we just loved the Southwest. And most of the things I agree with Gene. You know, and I saw this ball field, and I fell in love with it. And I said, I don't care what the house looks like, I'm moving there. So, and I played here for, you know, all 4 seasons. I'm not a snowbird, and I just love playing here. The guys are great, the teammates, and it's been fantastic.
Growing up, did you guys ever think that you guys would play senior softball at all?
Not at all.
Not at all.
And certainly not the amount of years I've been playing out here. I moved here at 60, I turned 80 recently, and I'm still playing. I'll be
Yeah.
on the mound here Monday morning, and no, I did not believe it would happen. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Did you ever guys, when you were little or growing up, did you guys ever watch seniors play softball? Was it something that you've seen or?
No.
No?
They didn't have communities like this back then. They didn't
Yeah.
have- and they didn't have fields like this. I mean,
Right.
this is absolutely the best field I ever played on. It's fantastic.
Oh, this field, a number of us have played on fields all over the Southwest in big tournaments, high-level tournaments where a lot of the better players play.
Yeah.
This field is good or better than almost all of them.
Right.
Joe,
Right.
one of the turning points for me was I was watching TV, and they had a tournament down in Florida, and I think you had to be 80 something to be in it. Okay, and so this one fella get to the hit, and he goes to first base, and they were interviewing him. They said, "Well, aren't you worried? How old are you?" He said, 92. And he said, "Aren't you worried?" He said, "No, son, I'd rather wear out than rust out."
Yeah.
And it was a really good saying.
Yeah.
So-
Now, were any of you around when Bob, Zek, and John Hansen were around kind of building that committee and getting people to express their interest in softball at all? Were any of you in part of that
I
process?
was not.
No.
How about when it was actually put into place, when it was like the first opening day? I think it was in 1999, May 17th.
Yeah.
You guys were here for the opening?
I was
Okay.
here. We had Whitey Ford throw out the first pitch, and a lot of us enjoyed, and then a lot of us afterwards, we went over to the restaurant over there and wound up drinking with him for 4, 5, 6
That's
hours.
Whitey
And he was
Ford.
a
That's Whitey Ford.
great guy, great guy.
Whitey was with the Yankees with Mickey Mantle and those guys, and he was always having fun someplace when he's not playing ball.
What's your favorite memory of the softball field? Or
Most interesting things in the past was when we first started, no sponsors, no signs. There was just a chain link fence, and the teams did not have sponsors' names, of course. One was Goons, Sam Shams, named after Sam Zigner, Moore's Boars, a guy who's still pitching here, Dick Moore, Hal's Pals, Earl's Pearls, here's the manager of Earl's Pearls, and my team was Bob Slobs.
The only memory I have is, it doesn't relate to me, but I was pitching, but there was an 86-year-old guy, and I was thinking, how long am I going to play this game? And he got 4 hits off me that day. And he came to me and he says, Artie, I want to thank you for, grooving those pitches for me. And I said, well, I didn't groove those pitches to you. You hit every one of them. You deserved every hit you got. And he kind of hugged me after that.
yeah.
It was just a nice feeling.
My favorite memories here is, like most of us here, we're a different level of ball players than
Right.
some of us, but I've played with some of the better guys, and some of the better guys to me have been great. They've treated me well. They've tried to teach me what I learned a little bit. I remember before we had our field, we used to play at a City of Surprise field
Okay.
over in a thing here.
Okay.
And I had a friend of ours, he still plays ball with us, Marlon Campbell. He was coaching third base. Well, when I was playing, like I say, I never played ball before.
Right.
I was on second base with no outs. Guy hit the ball. All I knew was to run like heck, But the thing is, when I ran like heck, the guy caught the ball, threw me out. The guy on third base, Marlon Campbell, he gets over there and he grabs me and he puts his arms around me. He says, "I told you not to run." But it was just so fantastic. All these guys, all different levels, from low up to high.
Okay.
They've all been great to me.
Well, for me, the camaraderie that was with the teams and the players here, because I had a few years where I wasn't playing ball after I retired, and to come back into a team sport again was just fantastic. And
Yeah.
the skill level was good, and people were friendly, and it was just that's what I remember.
What are some changes that you recall from back in 1999 up until now? Some other changes that
Well,
you
I
remember?
would say the technology. First of all, we draft teams every year.
Okay.
And in the beginning, it was just like, you pick a name out of a hat or something, or you say, who do you want for first base, and you get one, and you get one. Now they do computers. And when we go to the drafts, it's almost like a professional draft. I
Wow.
mean, and I just drafted a Saturday team, and the guy said, this was the best draft ever. It's because of the technology. I mean, we get all the numbers, and they have rules on how you do it. You pick by how you rate in the league. If you pick a guy and he's a high-rated guy,
Yeah.
the next time you're going to get dropped down to maybe the last pick. The teams end up somehow pretty even,
Yeah.
and they're very good because most of the managers have been managing here a long time,
Right.
and they know how to pick players.
Yeah.
And I think the technology is one of the things. But I also do want to mention those signs on the fence, because when I
Yeah.
first came in, there was no signs, and they really did dress up the field.
I recall the day we opened, well, I shouldn't say the day we opened, I think it was a couple of days before, when they built the field. In softball, you don't have a pitcher's mound. but I recall they had a pitcher's mound at the time. And I was wondering, I said, well, Del Webb having all these retirement communities, they built these things, they should know that you don't have a pitcher's mound in softball, but apparently not. But anyway, they did take it down and made everything flat and good, like for softball. But Del Webb has really been great for us out here. And it's really a fantastic deal for someone in a retirement situation.
You know, in the beginning, I don't remember there were a lot of fans here to come watch the game.
Yeah.
The league I play in now, it's the biggest league of the three. It's we have 12 teams right now. We're going to have probably in the second half of the winter we'll have about 14 teams. Totally, the three leagues are about 27 teams. I mean, and we started out with 8.
Wow.
You know, but the biggest thing is the fans.
Yeah.
Because they come to the games and they root for their husband or whoever they're coming to root for in their team, but still they will cheer when anybody gets a hit or makes a great play.
Yeah.
And I interact a lot with the fans, and I love it because they're so good and it's so much fun, and it really gets you up for the game.
The other thing I love, this is something that I really think is fabulous. A lot of grandkids are watching games, and I love when they say, "Nice hit, Grandpa." I love that.
I never thought the competition level would be what it is when you come out here.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was playing softball all my life, and I played with guys that were 20 years younger than me and 30 years younger than me, and the competition level was intense. And then I came out and I thought, senior softball, right? It's just going to be a lot of fun. Well, I found out these guys are very competitive, and I play this game for competition.
Yeah.
I mean, they say it's a senior league. You know, it's not about winning. It's there to have fun. But winning is more fun than losing.
Absolutely.
So first I want to win. Now,
Yeah.
the game's over, I go on my life. But I want to win. And the
Yeah.
competition level out here is fantastic. And I came out here when we were all together, the good players, the medium players, and the bad players.
Yeah.
And then they broke it up. Now we're down to 3 leagues. They broke it up into 2, then they made it 3 leagues.
Yeah.
And every level I played at, I've enjoyed.
Guys, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for being here. I know it was kind of early in the morning, but
It's a
thank
pleasure.
you for
Thank
being
you.
here
Thank
and
you.
capturing this
Thank you.
historical moment. You know, 20 years of the softball field. It's great to be a part of that.
Oh,
And
unbelievable.
yeah, so thank you again, and you guys have a great day.
It's like I said, if you built it, they will come, and boy did they come.